BBC who hate me. The BBC hate me. They're the propaganda arm of the British government, and the British members of parliament stand around in parliament. It's the only time I watch those clowns. And they sit around talking about me. Andrew Tate's the worst thing that ever happened to this country. Not the stabbing, not the drugs, not the open borders. No, Andrew Tate said go to the gym. He's worth a 2-hour conversation. Only time I've watched them clowns in a long time. So the BBC is after me, right? And they say, Andrew, there's hateful ideologies. There's no such thing as a hateful ideology if you love something. You're not hateful if you say, I love America and I don't want those people to come here. You hate immigrants. No, I love America. There's no light without dark. There's no equal and opposite forces. If you love anything on the planet, you'll be called hateful against something else. The only people who aren't hateful are people who don't love anything and don't stand up for anything. The people who are just empty vessels waiting for the slave mine programming to convince them to be mad at us. If you love anything, you're a hateful person against something else. They'll call you hateful because they'll weaponize it and they'll try and take away the love aspect. I don't hate anybody or anything. I think it was with Piers when I said that my girlfriend doesn't work. It's like, why don't you want her to work? I said she could work if she wants, but she doesn't have to. Why? Because I'm rich. You're a misogynist. How does it make me a misogynist? I'm a misogynist. She's in Chanel and get a facial. I love her and I take care of her. But that's it. No, I hate women now. This is how they spin the narrative. It's insane.
I'm going to tell you what's going on. There is a thought process out there now that if you're telling a man to be a man, and we can talk about the qualities of manhood, that it's demeaning to women.
Yeah.
And I said, no. If you're telling a man to be a man and teaching him how, that's a benefit to women.
Absolutely.
And they don't get it. People don't get it. It's like you're taking a woman's rights away by being her man.
Yeah.
You know, look, I'm married 39 years, yesterday actually, 39 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my wife could work if she wants to. Do I want her to? No, I don't want her to work. She doesn't have to work. I don't want her to work.
Yeah.
But if she wanted to and she's real, okay, you can work. You know, she does all my video work, so she works for me.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't want anybody else telling her what to do. That's just how I feel.
100%.
It's my wife.
Yeah.
I don't want another man or anybody else telling her what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, is that a misogynist? Most people would say yes.
Yeah.
But why?
There's a large proportion of the population who would try and say you're a bad person.
Yeah, why?
And they do this because they're pitting us against each other. That's why they're trying to attack masculinity to the point where they will say, if you're remotely masculine, you are harming and hurting women, which of course is false. But they try and keep the genders divided. That's what they want to do, because genders being united, when you're two different parts of a perfect whole, that's the basis of society in the first place. We can talk about government, we can talk about all these things, but it starts with a man loving a woman, having a child. And then they decide to buy a house. If they can buy a house, as opposed to what's currently happening because they can't afford any of them, if they can buy a house, they're now interested in the schools, they're interested in the roads, they're interested in the town. They'll go to the local county fair. The town can be extrapolated out to the state, to the city, to the government, etc. It starts with that. They've broken us at the nucleus of the cell. Men and women no longer get along because we have completely different ideas. And you can blame either gender, but truthfully, it's a race to the bottom for both genders, I think. Gender dynamics are now so fundamentally broken in Western societies that how can you build a society on the top of it? How can you build a society on the top of women who don't want to listen to their man ever? Men who don't want to marry a woman because she's either going to financially wreck him or he's not going to feel like the king of his own household, which is what a man wants.
Yeah, and you know, I have 5 daughters, Andrew, and I tell them, listen, okay, they're very independent, every single one of them, okay? But I tell them, listen, you get a guy, if number one, he can't support you, he can't protect you, and you don't look up to him like he's somebody special and respect him, what are you doing with him?
100%.
You know, now some people think, well, what do you mean? You know, I'm a woman, I can take care of myself. Well, yeah, you can take care of yourself, but that has nothing to do with what I just said.
Yeah.
You know, you want a man to be a man.
Yeah.
It's not demeaning to you. It's not saying that he's better than you. He's a man. He's different. He has a different role in life.
Absolutely.
And people can't accept it. That's misogyny. That's being misogynistic to certain people.
Oh, completely.
I don't have to rely on a man. Well, why not? What's wrong with that?
It's so interesting because I have sons and daughters, and they're being raised in such different ways. But my son is having a hard life because life's hard, right?
Right.
I walk past him. He's 3. I push him over. He gets up. It's like, that's life, son. One day you're going to go to jail. Get up. You know? But my daughters are princesses.
Right.
Like, my daughter's 3, and she's saying, I only want to fly private, and all this garbage, right? She's could be at 3. She's a nightmare. But I'm doing this on purpose because when he gets to a certain age, I'm going to say, look, the gravy train ends the second you get a man. So you've lived a very nice life. You have all the things you want, and you have your bags and your cars and your private jets, and you're very, very rich. But the second you get a boyfriend, the gravy train ends. If he can't pay for what you're used to, That's your decision. And you can't go back. You have to make a good call now because I'll take care of you until another man comes. Then it's his job. You better make sure he has my kind of budgets because you're used to a certain lifestyle. This is my plan.
I have the same thing, and she's standing right over there.
That's the plan.
Same thing.
Yeah, because the son is a completely different, they're from different mothers, and it's kind of unfair because the mother of my son's like, if I had a girl, my life would be so much easier because they're on jets and stuff, and you're like, I don't want him on a jet. No, I don't want him on a jet. No. I don't want him on a jet. I want him to stand in line.
Well, you said something very interesting that people wouldn't think would come out of your mouth because you're a misogynist.
Of course.
You just said you treat your daughters like a princess.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's wrong with that?
Well, I guess they're going to come along and somehow the mothers don't have to work. So I guess that makes me a terrible person somehow. Yeah. I don't know. It's all this weaponized virtue. It's truly insane.
Yeah, and people people will turn that around to say that's demeaning to women because we're lowering their stature in life because we have to take care of them. Do you know, I can tell you this, since I'm married, I don't think my wife filled her car with gas 10 times, unless I was in jail. That's what I do all the time. I just want to fill her car with gas.
Absolutely.
Is she capable of doing it? Of course. Yeah. Would she do it on her own? Of course. Yeah. It's just, I'm a man, and I feel that these are the things that I have to do for the woman, for my wife. Yep. I do it for my daughters too. What's wrong with that? But if you say that, you're a misogynist.
Oh, yeah. And they're trying to, and this is how they break down the gender role, and this is how they do it, because that's how they fundamentally break down society. And true happiness in life is actually doing, I believe, and this is where we can talk about masculinity, I feel happiest when I do the things I'm supposed to do because I'm supposed to do them. Just as you said, putting gas in the car. Putting gas in my woman's car will make me feel happier than doing something insane or garbage. Maybe I've become boring in my old age. I think I'm not quite as old as you, but I'm getting there. But now...
You're half my age.
But like...
Don't rub it in, Andrew.
If I can clear all my emails,
right,
I've had a good day. Like maybe it's getting that way. I know when you're younger, you're a bit more reckless and these kind of things, but a lot of young people, a lot of men say to me, especially like, what's fun? And I'm saying doing what you're supposed to do and fulfilling your duty and being proud of yourself is fun. That's the only fun you need. You don't need the fun of trying to chase all this garbage and this hedonism and this black hole. That doesn't lead anywhere.
Did you do that for a while?
For a while, yeah, certainly.
So did I.
If you look at other societies, the youth are not so obsessed with what's fun today. What's fun now? I need fun now. I'm bored. I want fun. They're overstimulated, whatever it is. They're also selfish. They're also self-obsessed with how they feel. This teaching a whole society and teaching a large contingent of the youth that how they feel plays paramount over the world. If you feel sad, that's all that matters. Not, well, I feel sad, but it doesn't matter because I'm doing the right thing. I feel depressed or I feel stressed, but it doesn't matter because I'm dedicating myself. No. What matters is how you feel right now, which means they only want to be happy all the time. And if you're going to only chase happiness and you don't have any particular skills, you're going to end up just chasing hedonism, and this is where you end up. And it's insanity. I think one of the largest tenets of masculinity for the largest period of human time is ignoring how you feel and doing what you're supposed to do because you're supposed to do it. We feel things, but jobs must be done, whether we are happy or sad. And this is also disappearing from the world. I'm stressed probably 6 days a week. I'm pissed off 6 days a week. But things need to be done.
Right.
So you just have to do them. And when you have a whole contingent of the youth obsessed with only being happy, I think this is one of the largest reasons they can psyop them so easily into doing insanity. And I guess it never used to be that way.
No, it was never that way.
It's actually interesting because I think humans, or maybe this is just me coping, maybe this is cope, but I think we're designed to struggle a bit. Because the closer you are to struggle, the more sensible you are. And gender roles all fix themselves in struggle, right? If you have 10 men and 10 women and they crash on a deserted island, the men do the man stuff, the women do the woman stuff. There's no discussion about gender roles because you're going to die. Right. So the men have to go hunting. The women are going to try and sew a blanket, whatever, because we're going to die now. Right. So we don't have time to talk about whose job's what.
Right.
Also, if you meet somebody who's had a hard life, they seem to be pretty wise.
Yes.
It's difficult to find someone who's had a hard life who's a total idiot. When you speak to these liberals or these morons, they've had very easy, soft lives. So I think humans are supposed to struggle a bit.
Absolutely.
And in the Western world, it's the age-old adage. I know it's overused, but hard times create good men create good times, and the good times create a bunch of weaklings. and they mess everything up.
Yeah, it goes to a point, and then it goes the opposite.
It goes the opposite way.
Yeah.
These people have had too easy lives for too long, and you can apply this to nearly any of the societal ills that apply to the Western world. People have had it too easy for too long, and none of them know any struggle at all.
Well, I got away with it.
Yeah. But when you finally learn your lesson, right? But there's a lot of these people out there who aren't being taught any lessons at all, and they're going to destroy society en masse because they have never had any kind of difficulty in their life. And what is life without difficulty in the first place? What is life? What is the point of life without difficulty? One of the things that's comforted me in all my garbage is actually, I watched one of your videos, and I was watching one of your videos a couple years ago, and I remembered it in jail. Because perhaps I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I don't think you regret any of the bad things that happened to you.
Not at all.
Because it makes you who you are.
Yeah, not at all.
So when people say, Andrew, what are you going to do if they lock you up for 10 years in Rehovot, the worst jail in Europe? I'm going to say, well, that's going to be a story. Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun. Maybe I'm crazy. But in a world where everyone's chasing comfort and I'm chasing challenges, I really do think that would be it'll be a story. I think with that understanding, you no longer fear the bad things. And then when you don't fear bad things, you can find something to stand up for and something to believe in. And if men would do that, it would fix a lot of the problems. I blame all of society's problems on men. I'm a misogynist, but I blame the men, personally. Call me a misogynist, but I think it's all the men's fault. Because the men are the protectors. And you're supposed to protect a society and prevent this shit from happening. By hook or by crook.
Yeah, well, honestly, I spent 29 months in solitary out of my 8 years.
Wow.
And it was probably the best thing that happened to me. Yeah, I mean that, Andrew. Best thing that happened to me, because things became very clear. When you're in isolation and you're alone, you can go either way. You can either go crazy, like I saw a lot of guys do, and I don't demean them, because isolation is tough. Those lights go out at night. Sometimes guys can't handle it. You saw a lot of bad stuff. I get it. It's tough. I'm dead set against isolation for young people. They're young. It's going to be tough for them to survive. But I came out of there a lot clearer on who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And so that time worked for me. You got to make it work for you. You could go either way.
Of course.
And for me, it worked.
The point I'm making is that the general masculine theme is protection and protectiveness. But you can't be protective anymore. Because if you are protective, they hit you with a weaponized virtue. If you're protective of your children, you're homophobic. If you're protective of your nation, you're racist. If you're protective of your religion, I don't even know what they're going to call you. There must be some ism for that. If you try and do anything, if you love anything, you're hateful. This is the psyop. And people are scared of being called hateful all the time. They're scared of it.